This happened back when I was in college. Spring break had just ended, and I was driving back to my dorm from my parents' place. The drive was about 3 hours, mostly flat roads and open fields, with just a few small towns scattered along. I left late around 10 p.m. It was already dark as I pulled out of the neighborhood, still rolling through the edge of town when I saw someone up ahead on the side of the road. A hitchhiker. He was tall, skinny, and carrying a duffel bag over one shoulder. I got closer. He stuck out his thumb. I slowed down. I don't know why. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was just the quiet loneliness of a dark road and the idea of helping someone out. He looked like he was headed the same direction I was, so I rolled down my window and asked where he was going. He named a small town I'd be passing through, maybe 40 minutes away. I told him to hop in and unlock the door. As he climbed into the front seat, I realized immediately he was older than I'd thought, easily in his 40s. Not a student, not a traveler. Something about him just felt off. But he didn't say much, just nodded and looked out the window. That was fine with me. The radio was on, and silence was better than awkward small talk. But about 30 minutes in, things changed. He started groaning low at first, then louder. He hunched over, clutching his stomach, swaying back and forth in his seat like he was in serious pain. I asked if he was okay, told him he could roll the window down if he needed air. He didn't. He just sat there, rocking, muttering, holding his gut. I was uncomfortable. Honestly, I was borderline panicking inside. But I didn't want to dump the guy in the middle of nowhere, especially if he was actually sick. I tried to stay focused on the road. Then, after about 15 more minutes, he said something that froze. "Hey, dude, I really don't feel good. Can you take the third next exit?" Not the next exit. Not even anywhere to stop. Third. The way he said it, flat, emotionless, like he was reading a script. I asked if he wanted me to just pull over, but he shook his head and said no sternly. That should have been the moment. I put it together, but I didn't. I assumed there was maybe a gas station or rest stop I wasn't aware of. So I nodded. I counted the exits. 1, 2, 3. I took it. But the moment we turned off the highway, I knew something was wrong. There were no lights, no buildings, no signs, just trees, darkness, an unmarked road stretching into the woods. I slowed down. "I don't see anything," I said. He replied, "No, keep going, just a little further." Again, I listened. I drove maybe another quarter mile before he suddenly told me to stop. He got out, didn't say a word, and within seconds, vanished into the tree line. I sat there, confused, engine idling, my heart pounding. That's when I saw 5 figures emerging from the woods, barely visible in the glow of my headlights, hooded, moving fast. All of them were holding something, pipes, bats, I couldn't tell. Then I saw one of them raise their arm. Gunshots. I floored the gas. The car fishtailed on the gravel, but I managed to swing it back onto the road as the bullets hit. Pop, pop, pop. I think there were 5 shots total. 2 of them hit the back of the car, but I didn't stop driving. Not once. Not until I reached the safety of my dorm parking lot. Over 2 hours later, I called the police and filed a report, but no one ever followed up. No arrests, no names, no answers. The next morning, I checked my car. 2 bullet holes. One of them was just inches from the rear tire, which makes me think whoever pulled that trigger wasn't trying to scare me. They were trying to disable the car, to keep me there. To keep me vulnerable. I don't know what would have happened if I'd hesitated even a second longer. I don't know who those people were or what they planned, but I'm certain of one thing. That man didn't need a ride. He needed a driver. I haven't picked up a hitchhiker since, and I never will again. This happened years ago when I was around 11. I was an only child, and at the time, my family only had one car. My dad used it to get to work every weekday, which meant if my mom needed to go anywhere while he was gone, she either had to walk or hitchhike. Back then, that wasn't as weird as it sounds now. Hitchhiking was more common, and we lived in a small town where, for the most part, Everyone knew each other. This particular day, it was a Thursday. My dad dropped us off at the grocery store on his way to work, like he'd done before. The plan was grab a few things and catch a ride home just like we'd done many times. It was routine. Only this time, it wasn't. We hadn't even been walking for 5 minutes when a white pickup truck pulled over. The guy inside was a stranger. I'd never seen him before, but he leaned out the window and offered us a ride. He told us to hop in the back of the truck bed. It seemed normal enough, so we did at first. Everything felt fine. My mom sat beside me and gave him directions, telling him which exit to take off the highway to reach our neighborhood. But as we drove, I noticed something strange. He wasn't responding. Didn't even nod. Then when our exit came up, he didn't slow down. He drove right past it. My mom tensed. She asked why he didn't turn. That's when he said, casually, like it was no big deal, "I just need to make a quick stop first." He kept driving off the main road until we reached a remote farm tucked into the woods. He pulled in, took the keys from the ignition, and said, "Wait here." Then he disappeared inside. We were in the middle of nowhere. No houses nearby. No way to walk home. No cell phones back then. My mom looked rattled, scared, but tried not to show it. Minutes passed. Then the man came back. But he wasn't alone. With him was another guy, this one looking angry, tense, pacing. I couldn't hear every word, but I remember the tone and few phrases have stuck with me to this day. The second man shouted at the driver, "Why the hell would you bring someone with a kid? Now nothing can happen." They kept arguing. My mom pulled me closer. I didn't understand what was happening at the time, but even then, I knew we weren't supposed to be there. Eventually, the driver came back to the truck alone this time. He mumbled an apology and climbed in without looking at us. My mom didn't hesitate. Her voice was calm but sharp when she said, "Take us back, exactly where you picked us up, right now." She never gave him our address, and she didn't plan to. Not after that. The ride back was dead silent. No music, no talking, just the sound of tires on gravel and both of us holding our breath. He dropped us off where he found us. My mom grabbed my hand, and we walked away without looking back. We never reported it. I don't know why. Maybe fear. Maybe the belief that nothing would be done. But looking back, both of us agree we were lucky. That stop at the farm wasn't just a detour. Not even close. We stayed in that town for another 5 years. But we never saw either of those men again. This happened in November of 2005. Every year, my job gave us 10 vacation days. And since I hadn't used any yet, I decided to take a week off and travel, just me, a bag, and the road. I had this idea to visit a few states around the US and get around. I relied mostly on hitchhiking. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Even back then, it had a bad reputation, but I'd done it before. I liked it. There was something raw and human about it. I'd met people on the road I still call friends to this day. It was around 2 p.m., and I'd been walking along a quiet stretch of road, thumb out, hoping for a ride. It had been hours since my last lift, and I'll admit I was getting desperate. A red pickup truck pulled up beside me. 2 guys were inside, mid-40s maybe. They asked where I was headed. I told them the next town over. We looked at each other for a beat, then nodded and motioned for me to hop in. They didn't seem sketchy. So I tossed my bag in the back, opened the door, and climbed in. The moment I shut the door, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. The entire floor of the truck was covered in bullets, loose ones, different types, rolling around at my feet. Before I could even process what I was looking at, we were already flying down the highway at 60 miles per hour. Trying to stay calm, I made some small talk, asked where they were from, how long they'd been driving, anything to keep the mood light. For a while, it worked. Then the conversation shifted. One of the guys casually mentioned he'd just gotten out of prison, aggravated assault. He said it like he was talking about the weather. A few minutes later, they asked how much money I had. That's when everything inside me tightened. I tried to stay calm and said I didn't have anything, that I'd been hitchhiking for days and was basically broke. Even tried to play it off like I was homeless. They didn't respond. The air in the truck went ice cold. For the next half hour, no one said a single word. But I could feel that something was wrong, and every so often, I caught the driver watching. In the rearview mirror, staring, just staring. Then it got worse. About 45 minutes into the ride, the truck suddenly veered off the highway onto a dirt road. Empty, no signs, no houses, just wilderness. My heart started pounding. I sat up. Dude, where are we going? No answer. 15 seconds of silence. Truck kept moving. That's when I made my move. I grabbed my bag, unlocked the door, and literally dove out of the moving vehicle and hit the dirt hard. I scraped my arm, hit my shoulder, but I didn't care. I looked back just in time to see the brake lights flash, then the reverse lights. I didn't wait. I sprinted into the nearest cornfield, ducking between stalks, pushing branches aside, heart beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. And then gunshots. They were faint, distant but real. I don't know how many. 3, 4. I didn't stop running. After what felt like forever, I saw the highway again. I got to a spot with decent reception, called the police, and gave them my location. They told me to stay hidden until they got. So I crouched in that cornfield and waited, watching the road, terrified those men would find me first. Eventually, a cruiser pulled up. I bolted out, waved them down, and explained everything. They drove me to the nearest station, where I gave a full report. But I didn't have much. Just 2 men in a red pickup, no plates, no names. I hadn't even gotten a clear look at their faces. It was the scariest moment of my life. To this day, I don't know what they had planned, but I'm certain it wasn't just a joyride down a dirt road. I truly believe if I hadn't jumped, I wouldn't be here to tell this story. I still hitchhike now and then, but I never ever get into a car unless I trust the vibe with everything in me.